everybody. Welcome to the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson,
I'm Nick Kinsel.
I'm Tom Hovland.
and we just got done with Daytona 500 qualifying last night. Chase Briscoe is on the pole, the first ever pole for Toyota in the Great American Race. Guys, how about that? His first time in a Yoder, in a Joe Gibbs car, and he gives them their first ever pole in the biggest race in the world.
It was super impressive. And then just the whole qualifying, it just wasn't the typical Daytona 500 pole qualifying we're used to seeing. Only one Hendrick Motorsports car made it to the final round, and it was Kyle Larson. The guys that we picked didn't even make it into the top 10. So, yeah, it was just crazy. And the finally see a Toyota on the front row, on the pole for the Daytona 500. I wasn't expecting that.
There's a lot of speculation with how Chase Briscoe is going to show up to Joe Gibbs Racing. Shout out, by the way, got a rep. Also have it in here. Anyway, a lot of speculation on how Chase Briscoe is going to show up, how he's going to meld with the team, and I think this is one hell of just a confidence boost, a way to enter the stage here. Really, really incredible for him and for Joe Gibbs to bring Toyota finally to the front row. Finally, the Toyotas showed some speed in qualifying.
Yeah, good for old number 19. And we also got Martin Truex in the show and Jimmy Johnson. So it's good to see those veterans make it in on speed. But before we dig into all that, guys, let's start off with our diecast of the week. Nick, it's Daytona 500 weekend. I know you got something special, buddy.
Oh, of course, it's my holy grail diecast. This is the car. This is the race 14 years ago that got me into the sport. So of course I'm busting out Trevor Bayne's 2011 race win version in the Daytona 500, his second ever Cup start, and he's going to victory lane in the biggest race in the sport. Like I said, this was the one that got me into it. I used to be that guy who was like, NASCAR is so boring. And finally, my dad sat me down, watched the race, and this was the one that got me into it. And yep, February 20th, 2011, got the hat to go with it. So crazy how we're coming up on 14 years since Trevor shocked the NASCAR world by winning this race.
Yeah, that's just wild to think about. And yeah, your first race ever to watch, and you picked the winner, and you I wouldn't say it worked out well for you, but it did because dude, you got to make such a great connection with him, man.
Yeah, that he might have not had the on track success, but he treated me like a king whenever I saw him. So always cool to make memories with Trevor.
Absolutely, brother. All right, Mr. Tom, what you got for us today?
All right. Last week I went with a little car because we had a little race. Get that out of here. Um, this week I'm going to go with my biggest die cast for the biggest race of the season. So this is bigger than a 124. I forget the exact scale, but Jeff Gordon, Rainbow Warrior, really fun piece to have sitting on the shelf, but nothing particularly special. Not as special as Nick's story for sure.
Hey, man, when we're talking Daytona, you got to talk Jeff Gordon, multi-time Daytona 500 champ, of course, and that
Oh
beautiful
yeah, and I
Rainbow Warrior skin.
growing up, I had a bunch of little like rainbow shirts and whatnot. When I was just a toddler, people would buy me Jeff Gordon stuff. I was like, oh, he likes NASCAR. I know Jeff Gordon, so kind of a connection there. But again, not as special, not as personal.
Right. All right, so for my diecast of the week, it is Daytona 500 weekend. So I thought I'd bust out one of my favorites, Kevin Harvick's 2007 Daytona 500 win with that photo finish with Mark Martin. That's still one of my favorite races of all time.
Mhm.
You throw up the 24/7 NASCAR Tubi channel, and that race is usually on. It's great to just rewatch that and relive it all over again.
It was an incredible race. The finish is just iconic. That camera shot as a TV guy, like they cut across the infield, and you're sitting looking at the crowd and see him
Yeah.
come across the finish line side by side, but you could clear as day see Harvick was out in front. It was I remember where I was when I saw that race, and it's incredible.
Oh
Really good
yeah.
stuff.
Absolutely, man. And they need to bring that camera back. That was so
Hmm.
great just for
It's a good
finishes.
looking camera.
Hmm
Get that get
I think
that
my
like the iconic Talladega finish where they
right?
zoom in on the thing, they pull out, see him come across.
Yeah.
I think my favorite video from this race in particular is somebody had posted it on on Twitter. It was just like a 10-minute clip of just the final laps from Kevin's onboard camera. You just
Mm,
watched him just work his way through the field. That's some pretty impressive
right.
stuff right there.
I remember seeing that clip too, and I did not realize at the time just how far back he came from in
Hmm.
such little time. Man, to be able to have super speedway cars like that again would be incredible, but ugh, these cars, mm-mm.
Yep. We don't have it like we used to. That's for damn sure. All right, guys. So I guess the biggest story to come out of this week, Steve O'Donnell said that the championship race will rotate tracks starting in the future. Who knows if that could be next year or 2027? But that is great to hear because Phoenix Raceway, not a good track to host your championship. Not a whole lot of action that you'll see on there. But that's good to see that we're going to rotate so we don't get the same team or the same guy winning the championship every single year.
I think this was always bound to happen. Um, by the time everybody was so upset with the playoffs changing one, I mean, we've been calling for the rotation for years, but when they said they were going to look into change of the playoffs, the schedule for this season was already set. Nothing like this was going to be possible. But now they have a whole year to set this up and get it going, and hopefully that within that rotation it contains a 3-race championship series. That's
Yeah,
that's that's my like fever dream wish, but it's not going to happen. But
That would be great, man.
mhm.
I think the two perfect tracks to go to is obviously getting Homestead back in the mix. Would make everybody happy just with how these cars race. The Gen 7's on a mile and a half it's just gold for whatever reason. It just works and it works so well. And that place would just be a great way to crown a champion. And then the other place I think is Las Vegas. Great
Mhm.
facility there, and also another track that can put on a phenomenal championship race. What we haven't been used to seeing the past couple of years with Phoenix. And then like you're right outside of the strip. Like you're not far from actual Vegas itself. Like just the people that would draw and the money that they would make. Those are the two that I would look to hopefully be in this rotation.
If they got the short track package a little better, imagine a Martinsville championship.
Ooh.
That would be that would be something to watch. And it's not like the weather would be too terrible. They raced there the week before, so that or my other thought would be maybe Charlotte, just to be able to let those guys win it in the backyard. We start at Daytona, the birthplace of NASCAR, and then we'd end at Charlotte, the home of all or most of the teams. I think that would be a really cool spot to finish out the season,
Yeah.
and we get
Uh,
rid of the Roval.
yes, that would be great. Vegas or Charlotte, I think would be perfect. Another good one, I think. Darlington, that's a tough track. That is embedded in NASCAR's roots right there. I think that would be so freaking cool.
And there we have our rotation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 tracks, championship. 5 races, mini series. Let's go.
I like it. All right, guys. Well, let's look into this Daytona 500 for this weekend. We saw Denny Hamlin top practice yesterday. Like I said earlier, Chase Briscoe won the pole for the Daytona 500. His former Brad Keselowski racing teammate Austin Cindric will join him on the front row. So that's pretty cool. Brad. He's pissed that he didn't get that pole, but he's got to be pretty proud of those boys right now.
Except he's still in the series and wants it himself. So
Yeah. All right, so Chandler Smith, he looked good. Practiced fourth. Helio Castroneves practiced 12th. We know that he is just going to be taking that provisional. I don't know if he wants to race too hard in these duels tonight. He might want to. He wants to get a feel for this draft and everything, but we know Helio is an experienced driver. To get 12th in your first practice in a cup car is pretty damn good.
I mean, yeah, I mean he's just got to shake it down. He's got to drink through a fire hose on how to learn these cars right now, and it's just fun. Ilio, whenever you watch him race, whether you're watching him at Rolex or the World Endurance Challenge or IndyCar, he just has so much passion for whatever he does. I mean, hell, I remember when I was a kid watching him on Dancing with the Stars and how into that he was. Like anything he does, he's going to give it 100%. I know that people have been upset with the provisional, the promoters provisional, we'll call it. But at the end of the day, to get Ilio in this race one way or the other, I think is a net positive, even if it's by some iffy tactics.
So for me, now that Truex and Jimmy Johnson, past champions, they've locked themselves into the Daytona 500. I feel a little bit better now that Helio is going to get into this race, even if he does take that provisional. Because at first I wasn't a big fan of it because he didn't have to do anything. He just had to lay down whatever kind of lap he laid down in qualifying, and then he could have just turned one lap in the duel and took it to the garage and been done with it. But so now that Truex and Johnson are in, I think it's pretty cool that Castroneves will be in this thing too.
Yeah, I think, like Tom said, it's going to be great for the sport. We're going to get a lot of eyeballs. IndyCar fans, people from Brazil might try and tune in as well. So just huge for the sport. But guys, we got a lot of open cars still to run in these duels tonight. Like you said, Nick, Truex, Jimmy Johnson, they're locked in. So we got Corey LaJoy, Justin Allgaier, who's going to be driving that beautiful 40 for Junior Motorsports. JJ Yaley in the 44. Anthony Alfredo in the 62 for Beard. Chandler Smith, 66. BJ McLeod, he is back in that 78 for Live Fast Motorsports. And then Elio Castroneves in that 91 for Trackhouse. So, gonna be a crazy, crazy duels tonight. That's for sure.
Do we know? Do you guys know who? Does anybody have it pulled up? Which open cars are in which duel? I don't remember from last night.
Yeah, I can pull up. Bob Pockers posted it earlier.
While you're looking for that, I just want to point out that there's some shameful things going on with this. BJ McLeod was 1.3 seconds off the pace of the pole speed. JJ Ailey 1.8 seconds off the pace of the pole speed. Kind of expected. Chartered entry Cody Ware, the 51, 2.5 seconds off of pole speed. He's almost a second slower than NY Racing, and he is guaranteed to be in. Bit of a travesty here, truly. But ultimately, just the fastest who aren't locked in. Allgaier, who qualified 33rd last night, kind of surprising. I mean, like we mentioned kind of in the intro, a little bit surprising from all the Hendrick cars, but especially Justin Allgaier. You'd expect him to run faster if that truly is a Hendrick built car, but he's still the fastest of the guys not locked in, so that's something to look at. And then Corey LaJoy right behind him by about 0.02 of a second in speed. So look for those guys to be quick tonight and try to move up.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so for Duel 1, we got Briscoe, Priest, Barry, Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, Zane Smith, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, McDowell, Allmendinger, Byron, Truex, Gibbs, Reddick, Bubba, Justin Haley, Justin Allgaier, Hocevar, Chastain, Castro Neves, Stenhouse, Chandler Smith, and JJ Yaley. That is your driver lineup for Duel
Okay.
1.
And then it's one per duel, right? That'll lock themselves in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, I like Allgaier in this situation because Castroneves has the provisional to fall back on if he doesn't race his way into the show. So that's just going to be the one that's going to be curious for me to see what happens in that duel. What is Castroneves going to do?
This is also confusing. It's confusing every year because doesn't the dual trump qualifying speed? Like it's that if so say Jimmy Johnson finishes best of the open cars in the duel, then it falls back to the qualifying speed. Is that correct?
Right, I believe so.
That's always bothered me. It's like, why does it matter? They qualified on speed. Don't just make this, since it happens later, make this less important. But that'll be something to watch too with those guys in that could affect things somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. All right, and then Duel 2 lineup, we got Austin Cindric, Logano, Hamlin, Bell, Larson, Bowman, Gilliland, Kozlowski, Busher, Blaney, Noah Gregson, Suarez, Riley Herbst, Jimmy Johnson, SVG, Cole Custer, Corey LaJoy, Jones, Nemechek, Alfredo, BJ McLeod, and
Ooh.
Cody Ware. So This is this one's gonna be a little crazy here, but I think Anthony Alfredo. I think he's gonna be smoking away B.J. McLeod and Cody Ware here. There's no competition. That's 62 for Beard. They like to roll out on these super speedways, and they're always fast.
For sure, for sure. The 62. I mean, this is their bread and butter. That's all they show up for. Daytona Talladega, um, and it's important to them and their partners and their little team that they make this race. So, Anthony Alfredo is going to be sending it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, who do you guys think is going to be advancing tonight from the two duels? And do you think Elio is going to take that provisional?
Yeah. For me, I think he is. I don't think he's going. I think Allgaier's going to get him in that duel. I do really think that, and I think Castroneves is gonna he's gonna ride around in the pack for a little bit, try and get a feel for his car. But I really think he just wants to keep the primary in one piece. So I think he's going to take the provisional. I think Allgaier gets in, locks himself in from duel one.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, I think Allgaier is going to be the force to be reckoned with here. Helios is going to go learn how to draft a little bit, but I'm sure Trackhouse and the partners there, they took advantage of this provisional sign up for a reason. They want him to learn. They want him to go out and race, but they don't want to risk this car that's locked into the race. So, unfortunately, Chandler Smith, who is a stout driver, just kind of bad luck on the business side. I think he'll miss it, and then NY Racing not really going to be too competitive. We'll probably see them fall out of the draft pretty early.
I remember last year in the last year's duel, Yaley had it. He was going in, and then for
Mhm.
whatever reason, he just pulled out of the way to let Jimmy Johnson in. That was the craziest thing that I've ever seen.
I think
Yeah.
didn't Martin Truex Jr. push Jimmy Johnson past or something?
Yaley literally, he
Something
was
like
in
that.
line.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yaley was in front of Johnson, and they were going through 3 and 4, and then all of a sudden, Yaley just takes his car up, and then there goes Johnson
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
by.
and that was the
Yeah.
I
final
That's
lap.
it's odd.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Dude,
So
how much money did Legacy give them to just hey
I
drop
was
out,
gonna
drop
say,
out?
yeah, for real. That's all he did. He just essentially jumped out of line on the last
mhm.
corner of the duel when he's gonna lock himself into the 500.
I
Well,
mean,
we
that was supposed to
can't.
be Biffle's car last year, and so maybe he was just like, you know what? Nope, not doing this. They're not going to pay me anyway. Pull out a line here.
I mean, we can't have a Daytona 500 without Jimmy Johnson, but we have JJ Yaley. That would just be too screwed up. No matter how bad you think Jimmy Johnson is nowadays, he's still one of the greatest drivers of all time to come into the sport. So definitely
Listen,
deserves to
we
be in this 500.
we already go crazy with the rules on this race anyway. It's not like any other race in the season. So why should the charters matter? If you want to get that money, show up and qualify in. Qualify on speed. Lock yourself in that way. Um, I don't see why Jimmy Johnson can't show up with three cars and think that all of them can get in on speed. I don't see why you have to have Cody. If Cody Ware and Rick Ware Racing aren't going to show up with speed, they shouldn't be in the race.
Yeah.
Put the 40 fastest cars out there and let them go for it. I mean, again, the qualifying is already ridiculous for this race. People were complaining all year about the qualifying format, but they don't bat an eye at the Daytona 500 qualifying format. So it's weird, it's convoluted, it's hard to follow. Um, Even if you are subscribed to Bob on Twitter and like constantly updating your feed, it's like who's in, who's out, what's going on. So I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Yeah. I mean, they change so many rules every year. You don't know, like, oh, are they allowing, three drivers
Mhm.
in from the duels now? Like, what's going on? So yeah, um,
Yeah.
it's hard to keep track of it. Daytona 500 qualifying, the speed weeks is just wild.
Hey,
You gotta be on top of everything.
do you remember the one year they did pole qualifying as a group and they were out drafting for that
Yeah.
and it would turn into a disaster literally 35 seconds in? I don't think I've ever seen Clint Boyer more mad in my life. Besides the whole Jeff Gordon Phoenix incident, he was pissed.
Well, you remember them at Auto Club? I think it was like
Oh,
2019, and they all like
Yeah,
rolled off pit road with like
they all
45
missed
seconds
it.
ago. No one made the line to take a lap. That was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Excellent, excellent.
All right, guys. So yeah,
You got
Justin
duel two.
Allgaier.
yep,
Uh,
dual team.
yeah, duel two. I think it's going to be Anthony Alfredo that's going to be advancing in. Like I said earlier, that 62, they just have so much speed at these super speedways. And Anthony Alfredo, he is such a disciplined driver.
Mhm.
He's been in some of the worst teams in NASCAR, and it's nice that this team always gives him an opportunity to go out there and run on the big tracks with the big boys.
For me, if it's not going to be Alfredo, I think it's going to be Corey LaJoy. As much as that pains me to say, Corey's got experience at these tracks, and this was what back when he was full time. He ran his best at these super speedways, so I think that alone, I think it's going to come down to the 01 and the 62, and hopefully
Yeah,
Alfredo gets in because fuck Corey LaJoy.
I just looking at this list of the specific lineup here, head to head, Alfredo, McLeod, and LaJoy. I have to lean towards LaJoy. He knows how these cars act. You have to pit once in this race. Just how this race runs out, you have to stop and pit once. Corey LaJoy has 1,000 times more experience pitting these cars than the other guys in this race. He knows how to get the most out of them, and he knows what it takes. He doesn't want to get past, and he knows how to run up front. So look for that 01 to get out front, have a solid pit stop, and try to just win his way in. Basically, I'm not saying he's going to win the duel, but I think he's going to try to keep that car up front as much as possible. Just
Yeah,
depends on if the equipment can do it.
yeah, no, definitely.
Mhm.
Really good super speedway racer, so could be a possibility. Well, guys, this all leads up to this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we are jam packed full of NASCAR racing, kicking off with the Truck Series. We don't count the ARCA Series over here at Stock Car Spectacle. Um, but with the Truck Series, we got that kicking off Friday night. Gonna be one crazy race. We have seen some jackassery with these trucks at the super speedways, so maybe they can keep it clean for once, which I don't think will happen.
Not happening.
But we got the Fresh from Florida 250. It's 250 miles and it is 100 laps. Gonna be a doozy. All right, so for my pick for the Truck Series, I am gonna have to go with Mr. Daniel Hemrick. I know that'll make Mr. Nick happy over here. He's gonna be riding in that 19. We have seen a lot of success out of that truck with Christian Eckes, and we know Daniel Hemrick, he has the talent, but he hasn't had that many great cars in his career, and he's heading into one of the best trucks. So I think it'll be a great way to kick off his
Hey,
tenure in the Truck Series to get that win at Daytona.
be a great way to start off his tenure over there at McAnally Racing, and I'll let you have this pick this time because I'm probably taking him every other truck race this season.
I think the Trucks Series, without the random people starting the Daytona race, I think the Truck Series is pretty stacked this year. Hopefully, be a little bit more competitive than just the 2 horse race we ended up seeing last year. So,
You got a lot of guys down
mhm.
there, just a lot of talent. You got Hemrick down there, you got Chandler Smith down there now, and then you still have Corey Heim down there, and you got Riggs. I mean, they just got there's a lot of
For
talent
sure,
down here in
for
the
sure.
truck. If they could keep it clean, it's going to be exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is gonna be a doozy of a season, that's for sure. All right, well, Tom, who do you have for the Truck Series?
I got to go with strength and numbers here, and I got to go with experience. And what's more experience than winning at Daytona than a Daytona 500 champion? Spire is starting seven, or no, seven. They all have number seven. Spire's starting 4 trucks in this race: the 77, the 71, the 7. But my winner is in the 07, Michael McDowell. He's got to do it, right? He's got to do it. He knows how to do
Oh,
it. He's gonna old man wisdom all these little kids to death. It's gonna be great.
if he survives the chaos is the
Hmm.
Truck Series at Daytona, I think you're going to see him right up there at the front. But surviving that chaos at the Trucks at Daytona is the biggest thing.
I think if Michael McDowell gets up front,
Yeah.
I don't think he's given that up too easily. And the one thing you see probably with extra trucks and races like this from bigger teams is you hope all the bolts and screws are tightened up on there because usually that's what'll take somebody out. I mean, we saw it with the Hendrick Xfinity car all the time. They'd be really fast, but then something would break halfway through because they're just not used to doing that all the time and whatnot. So I think that's the one thing that could bite me in the ass is if Michael McDowell just has some kind of mechanical failure before he even really gets a chance.
Or he makes a horrible block coming to the line. Who knows?
Hey,
No,
well,
he's been good for that before.
yeah, but these
I
these
would fit
kids are slow or over
uh,
aggressive, so who knows?
that would fit the narrative perfectly for
I
a
mean,
truck
when he
Daytona.
won, he had two guys pussyfooting around up in front of him. So when he won the Daytona 500, so it's not like that won't happen here either. You just got to avoid it, and I think he's got so much experience that he knows what to look for.
I like it. All right, Nico, who you got for Truck Series Friday night?
So for me, I'm gonna take a guy who really ended last season on an absolute heater. He was not involved in the playoffs last season, but I think he's getting to the playoffs this year, and that is gonna be that 34 truck of Lane Riggs.
Mm.
I remember last year we were just talking about Lane Riggs, like what is going on? He just doesn't have it. He stepped into Zane Smith's truck, and we all know how Zane Smith did in that truck in his time down there. Beginning of the season, it wasn't clicking. But then the playoffs come around and he's not even in the playoffs. All the pressure's off and he goes out and he wins. He wins a couple of times and he was running up front every week. So I think he's going to take that momentum from last year and he's going to come here to Daytona, first race, lock himself into the playoffs. And I think we're going to see a really, really good year from Mr. Lane Riggs.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
start with how they ended last year. I mean that might be
Yeah.
That would be huge.
so. And he's got a teammate this year, which is I think is going to be really important, not only for drafting races like this, but also just in general sharing stats and whatnot. I mean, front row has exploded in size, and with him and Chandler Smith down there, I think some special things could happen.
All right, Tom. Well, who is your pick for the Xfinity Series race on Saturday?
We're moving on to Xfinity here. Um, I get the first pick this time, and at Daytona or Talladega, who do you pick for Xfinity? Even when he's got no help, Austin Hill is driving to the front, and he doesn't give up the lead very easily. So I think that's a solid choice for me, and I'm gonna bank I'm bank those 20 points right now.
Yeah. I mean,
All right. Well, now, Nick, who are you going to take for
yeah.
Saturday?
Well, I'm going to stay in that RCR stable because when we go to these super speedways, the 21 car is always up front, but who else is also up front is that two car of Mr. Jesse Love. Jesse Love, I believe, won the pole for this race last year in his rookie season, and he got his first career win at Talladega. So he's very good at these kinds of races. And I think if Austin Hill doesn't win, then I think the two cars got a very good shot. So RCR, yeah, they're just good here. They're good at super speedways. Jesse Love going to victory lane, locking himself in the playoffs, race one.
Yeah, would be pretty cool. All right, so I gotta go with Sammy Smith to win on Saturday. Mostly because he is running in that new number 8, bringing back the good old DEI days. Um, gotta love it, and he's gonna have the heart of a lion in him, and he's gonna win this race. And Junior is gonna be so happy to see that iconic number 8 back in victory lane, especially at Daytona.
It'd be incredible to see that checkered flag wave over that number 8 car for sure.
Oh yeah.
Junior Motorsports has got some great talent in their stable this year. Like you're saying, Sammy Smith's
Mm.
kind of the veteran there now because you got guys like Carson Quapple coming in, and you got Connor Zillis coming in. They're going to be a powerhouse. You team them up with Sammy Smith and your defending series champion Justin Allgaier. Yeah, we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see a lot of wins out of the JRM stable this season.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not a Tire Pros scheme, so it's not red. It's not
Ah,
red and white.
dang.
So
I,
points off for that one. Points off for that one. No, I think that's a solid pick. And Junior Motorsports, as long as they don't take each other out,
for real.
you know they'll be up at the front working together,
Yeah.
thinking of the team more than they're thinking of themselves.
It's been a little messy over there at Junior Motorsports. Hopefully they can clean up their act this year, especially with their new rookie coming in, Connor Zilich,
Mhm.
the
I
biggest
bet you
name to come into
Dale's.
the sport.
I bet you Dale's so happy, and his fab shop is so happy that Brandon Jones isn't on their team anymore. No more wrecked race cars every single week. Guaranteed wrecked race cars every single week. Now he's gonna bring the poor JGR to do this season.
Oh man, I can't believe Joe Gibbs Racing went back with Brandon Jones, but hey man, he's got that
Money.
Menards money. That's
I
for
think
damn sure.
he's got to know somebody in the water heater. They got they got Joe Gibbs talking about Richmond water heaters now.
Right?
The new commercial is so funny. Like they just run into each other at the store. They're like, oh, what are you doing here?
Those are
Oh, what are
the,
you water heaters? Wow, amazing.
the,
Anyway,
the Brandon Jones Menards commercials are some of the most cringe things of all time.
Yeah, and
my
now they
girlfriend
got
knows
Joe Gibbs
nothing
doing
about
it.
NASCAR, but she was watching football or something. That commercial came on, and she sent me a snap of the TV. She's like, "Isn't this somebody you like?" And I was like, "Yes, that is Coach Joe Gibbs. You nailed it."
Not the other guy in that commercial.
No,
big
don't
big
like the
Brandon
other guy
Jones
really.
fan.
Doesn't do much for me.
All right, guys. Well, let's make our picks for the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. Nick, we'll start off with you, buddy. Who is your winner, Daytona 500 champion on Sunday?
I gotta go with a guy who's been so close, oh so many times to getting that first Daytona 500. He's so good on all these super speedways. Lots. uh, my pick is not Kyle Busch, so we can go away there. But I gotta go with Brad Keselowski. I think it's finally time. He's going to be such a deserving Daytona 500 champion. He's so good at the super speedways, and it would just be pretty cool for him to finally get one. So I think Mr. Bad Brad is going to finally get it done, get his first Daytona 500.
Would be pretty
To
cool.
respectfully disagree, I don't think that would be cool at all. Not before my guy. Not before my guy. I can't do it. I can't get behind Brad. And again, I've met Brad in person. Unfortunately, he's super nice. It breaks the narrative I've had in my head. But no, I wish you a very good luck. I just don't want to see that. I really don't want to see that. But that's okay. I mean, it's different. He's on his own team, and yeah, so he's got more help too. He's legit. Those guys could link up together and go out there and push Brad way ahead.
Ryan
Yeah.
Preece had a
Mhm.
rocket ship last night in qualifying.
Yeah, yeah. So again, and we know this race all about speed and track position, and they could be out in front. They could be.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Tom. Well, who is your Daytona 500 champion?
All that being said, I'm going to pick the 20 of Christopher Bell. Captain, I don't need practice. Goes out there. The Toyotas have some raw speed out there. Um, wasn't the fastest in the qualifying, but I think the Toyotas can do well playing with the strategy. There's more Toyotas in this race than I think we've ever seen before. Um, with the 3 Jimmy cars and then the Martin Truex car, the Tricon car, and the 4 Gibbs cars plus 32311. There's so many Toyotas this year. They've
Mhm.
never been able to, can't even remember them all.
Yeah.
I just think his
Um, yeah,
I think his
we just
comments
evened
was
it out a little bit more, and I think Christopher Bell could end up at the front of that line.
Yeah.
I just think it's so funny how ironic that'd be, Mister. Yeah, I think this practice session we
Mhm.
ran yesterday was so unnecessary. That's why I ran 18 laps in practice. Uh, Well, if you didn't want to practice, don't practice. I mean, Spire Motorsports, they didn't practice because they didn't feel it was
Yeah.
necessary either. They wanted their cars for qualifying. So if that's really how Christopher Bell felt. Don't go out and practice. But to see
Well,
him go do 18 laps, I'm like, maybe he did want to practice just a little
It
bit.
whatever
seemed a little
whatever they
necessary.
learned. I mean, we saw the Toyotas all line up. I think Chandler Smith also kind of forgot that he wasn't a Toyota driver anymore because he was in the mix there at that practice. But they all
He
lined up,
wishes he
did some
was.
drafting practice, and then they put one on the pole. So they had to learn something through all that, even if Christopher Bell didn't want to do it. But again, I think the Toyotas are fast. We haven't seen a Toyota win this race in a while, and I think this practice and this qualifying was a good omen for them, and I think they can be in victory lane on Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, Tom, since you won't make the pick, I'm going to have to do it for you. We're going to see on Sunday 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Kyle Busch is a Daytona 500 champion. This guy has literally won everything in the sport except for the Great American Race. This is all he needs to check off his resume. He's done such an incredible job in the sport, one of the best drivers of all time, and he has not done it. Just like the late great Dale Earnhardt, and he's driving for RCR too. So how great would that be to see him go to victory lane this Sunday?
You're bringing a tear to my eye just hyping it up. I know he's one of the odds-on favorites to win. He's been competitive in this race. RCR knows the importance of this race, and they know how to bring some fast cars here. Um, I so hope to see it. Just because I picked Seabell doesn't mean I don't want to see my guy win. Of course, I want to see my guy win. I'm jealous that you guys got to see your guys win. Um, I don't know that feeling yet. I mean, it, it's been frustrating. It's been heartbreaking, disappointing, just nail biting. Like any adjective that you can think of other than glorious and successful. So, uh, that would be incredible, and it might be one of the best days of my life if if I can witness that. Be incredible.
Yeah. I could say I would actually be happy if Kyle Busch finally got this. I think you might not be happy if Brad
Nah,
Keselowski
I know. I'm a
wins the
Daytona
Daytona
fan.
500, but I will be happy if Kyle Busch wins the Daytona 500. It'll be such
Mhm.
a cool story because it's just like Dale
Yeah.
on the 20 years. It took Dale and her 20 years to win this race. So it would just be cool for Kyle. It would be good for the sport. I mean, Kyle Busch over the last couple of years, he's kind of gone from the villain to people are finally starting to appreciate and respect what he's done because
Mhm.
he's one of, if not one of the best to ever do it in the sport. Just his resume altogether. Even when he won his first race for RCR at Auto Club, that was the first and only time you probably ever see me
Yeah.
cheer for Kyle Busch because it was cool to be there for that for his first win at RCR. It
Mhm.
was just cool to be there for that. So yeah, I would be all for a Kyle Busch Daytona 500 championship. If you would have told me, if you would have said, I would have said that like 10 years ago. Yeah, no, not happening.
Time to put you
It's
down.
Yeah,
it's truly incredible what putting a bow tie on a guy can do. And um, again, people hated Kyle Busch so much. It's like the New England Patriots. It's like the Chiefs now. That they hated him because he was always up front. He always had a chance to win, and they wanted to see some variety. He was divisive. He's chilled out a lot, not only since he's had Brexton, but since he's had Brexton in race cars. Um, he's much less divisive, and he's just not as competitive anymore. A lot of the hatred that I have of like Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano come from those years of those three guys duking it out for races. As I'm growing up, it's just a lot of ill will I have stored in the back of my head that I don't think I can get rid of. Um, I cracked a smile when Brad won Darlington. I did. I was like, that's cool. Cool. It's a cool thing. And I mean, similarly, he was ending a winless streak. Kyle's on the one of the longest winless streaks of his career. Um, I just think it would be a overwhelmingly and for Kyle a surprisingly popular win.
Yeah, I think that would just be huge for the sport. One of the biggest
Mhm.
names, even people outside of NASCAR know who Kyle Busch is just because they know the saying, fuck Kyle Busch. So that'd be cool. People are gonna be mad or people are gonna be happy. Either way, they're gonna be making noise, and Kyle Busch is gonna be a champion.
Yeah, that's the other one I was explaining to my girlfriend why in the infield at Talladega of all the things I saw, I had to take a picture with the 30-foot Kyle Busch is a douchebag sign. So it's just he's from social media mentions. If they just counted most popular driver on social media mentions alone, you'd think that Kyle Busch would be the most popular driver for the past 10 years because everybody seems to have an opinion. You either love him or you hate him.
Yep.
But people have warmed up to him a lot, and they just want to see the old man win one more time. I want to see him win 36 more times.
Right.
So
All right, so we got our picks in, and for our picks this year, we're not just doing it for fun. We're not going to be picking our favorites. This is for points. We're going to have a lot of fun
mhm.
with this. Tom, you set this all up, buddy. You did such a great job on it. Could
Yeah,
explain a little bit about it?
I made a little points chart. We're gonna do a full season points, no playoffs on the stock car spectacle, but we're gonna earn. You can earn points in all three series. We each get a pick. Whoever picked the best for each series will pick last the next week. Um, Out of the three of us, the driver we pick, whoever finishes the best, you'll get for the Cup Series 30 points. Your second best of the three we pick, you'll get half. And that goes for all three series. So Cup Series best is 30, Xfinity is 20, Trucks is 10. Second place will be 15, 10, and 5. And then if you pick the worst driver, you'll get 0. So, for example, we made clash picks, right? I picked Kyle Busch, finished 15th. Ian, you picked Joey Logano, finished 4th. It was a pretty good, or no, Nick picked Joey Logano, finished 4th. Pretty solid pick. But Ian, with Ryan Blaney finishing second, we've awarded 30 points to Nick, and oh my goodness, 30 points to Ian, 15 to Nick. So you guys are on the board first, but we got 3 series running this week. So, and then also if you pick the winner, you get 5 bonus points in any series. So if your driver wins the race outright in the Cup Series, you get 35 points, and we'll see how this plays out throughout the season.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's going to be fun to keep track of, and just a little competition with us over here at the Stock Car
Oh
Spectacle.
yeah. Keep stuff interesting and whatnot.
Absolutely. Well, I think that will wrap up things for our Daytona 500 preview. Make sure to tune in to the duels tonight. I mean, I'm hopefully have this up before the duels. Yeah, starts in 45 minutes from now, so it's going to be some fun racing. Enjoy the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Daytona 500. So that'll do it for us here at the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson.
I'm Nick Kinsel.
I'm Tom Hoblin.
And we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the great American race.